Vaynerchuk, truly inspiring. He talked about engagement rather than just all content. People could phone him, email him, and he would answer their wine questions. Now, he understood social media such a long time ago. People still don't understand it. They haven't quite figured it out yet. And this is how to do it. Now, each platform has its own integrity. And I'm going to go through each platform here, and we're going to try and work out how it works. Did that make sense, Nick, to you about Garry Vaynerchuk? What he did, he just was passionate about wine, and he talked about wine.
Listen, if you know your product and you know how to put it out to market, which from what you're saying you certainly did, then absolutely that makes sense.
Yeah. Now he owns more than just a liquor store online. He's just put in a bid for the New York Jets. He's that rich. So, SEO, what does that mean? That means there's inbound marketing and outbound marketing. Inbound marketing is my favorite because the customer is looking for you. So you type in free landline or you type in London number. We want Cleartone to be number one. All right. So they're coming to Cleartone. Cleartone isn't having to go and find the customers. And they call that search engine optimization. Nick, do you know the answer to this question? Where do you hide a dead body?
Underneath the patio in your back garden?
Yes, you ordinarily do, but in this circumstance, you put it in page 2 of Google. Nobody looks there. Everyone wants to be page 1. So you can be page 1 for free, and they call that organic traffic, or you could be paid traffic, which is a bidding system. So this is one of my favorite inbound marketing. The next one is email. People underestimate the open rate isn't great, 5-10% open rate. But if you've got 8,000 to 10,000 people, you will be a millionaire of engaged email addresses. So I cannot passionately tell you enough. You must collect your emails, send people out a message once a month, and get them interested. Now, Facebook, it's the granddaddy of all of those. It's been around a long time. It's got 3 products. It's got your own personal page, which you're only allowed to get to 5,000 people. Once you're past 5,000 people, you become a celebrity, believe it or not. You're not allowed to sell on your page, otherwise you get the whole thing shut down. So you're allowed to sell on a page, not a personal profile. So on a page, we heard earlier Carol say that 0.05% of people see something on your page. So it's about consistency and showing up. If you're consistent and show up, you might get 10-15% on there. But my favorite how to use Facebook is the groups, people of special interest. So if I was promoting Cleartone, it would be promoting to people that are interested in business. Yesterday, we probably had about 30 people register around lunchtime. Is that true, Nick?
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
We sent lots of email. We used social media, and look at that. We woke up and there was 100. It was amazing. And we've had pretty much 100 people walking in and out. Instagram. What's Instagram about? It's a mystery to some people. Instagram has 5 products. Look at that. It has a product called Grids, and this is your shop window. When you go, there's 9 squares, and it's really telling people about you. You're only allowed 1 link on there. Now, I'll give you a bit of a tip for nothing. Do not put your website, really. You want to put something called Linktree. So you go to the Linktree, and you can then send it off to 5 or 6 different places, so you're getting more for your money. LinkedIn require you to use all their services. So the Grid, something called Reels, which is a 35 or 40-second video. They want you to use stories, which I still don't really understand because it disappears after a day. So they want you to use that too, but in return they give you a lot of organic traffic. There's video on there and there's live video. So it's all things of beauty, but then it contradicts itself because a reel can be a bit scrappy. Now LinkedIn, Nick, I'll ask you a question now. How often does the average person check their Instagram? Crazy. Take a wild guess.
3 times a day.
Yeah, you're pretty much 3 to 5 times a day. How often do people check their LinkedIn?
0.5 times a day.
I don't know about the maths, but they say once a week. And it's a very different platform, much older demographic and business to business, where Instagram really is fun. Lots of young people on there, but that doesn't mean to say your demographic is in there. There's a lot of people showing off that they've got businesses and Lamborghinis. So if you're an insurance broker, you can message those people hanging out with a £150,000 Lamborghini. There's lots of groups that are collected together by hashtags. And Nick is interested in businesses. And yesterday we went out there and we spoke to lots of Instagram business groups, and we made comments, and now they're here. Maybe someone's here from there now. Now YouTube is a favorite of mine. It's been around a long time. I've done videos from 12 years ago, and they're still there, and they've been watched by 500,000 people. I literally, kid you not, I can walk in the street and people will say, Garry, I saw a video on you. It's quite nice. So there you go. So that's YouTube, makes videos, and they stay a long time. Twitter, here's the thing. So a Facebook post lasts for 3 hours. Do you know how long a tweet lasts?
Forever?
3 seconds.
3 seconds.
So how it works is, you do a Facebook post, and then everyone's liked, shared and commented, and it stays in. It stays in hibernation until you prod it again, and it goes on for another 3 hours. With Twitter, it's literally 3 seconds. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. But Twitter and Google are quite friendly, and quite a lot of the tweets will be indexed over at Google. Now, TikTok, a very hot platform right now, and they're under attack. Mr. Trump didn't like TikTok very much, and he wanted to destroy it. Bangladesh and India have banned it. It's getting banned in lots of different countries. So YouTube and Instagram saw an opportunity to take the TikTok mania that is at the minute. So TikTok's 35-second videos, and they're quite funny, some of them, and they're in a series. And that's where YouTube have called it YouTube Shorts, and Instagram have called it Reels. And they're just trying to steal the TikTok throne of these quick little videos. So you got Pinterest. If you sell a product, you really need to get on Pinterest. They call it a guilty pleasure. If a lady's going to get married, she's going to make lots of boards. And it's just an idea board where you can put lots of ideas and pin them along. And that's what Pinterest is about. Now on the side it says Clubhouse. This is one amazing platform. It's only been around a little while, since September. Already they've raised £1 billion in funding, and it's only with sound. Isn't that amazing? No visuals, just sound. And at the end of...
Actually, Garry, I was reading today, they only offer the iPhone option.
Correct.
Android is not yet available.
Not Android yet, because they know that people with an iPhone are higher net worth individuals. I know this for a fact, that if you do pay-per-click and it's on an Apple product, that you get charged more. Amazon, they were talking about putting up their prices just to Apple users. Apple users generally have more money than Android users, so that they thought they'd go with that, and they're all right. All the billionaires and millionaires are on there. So this evening, when this is finished, we're going to have after a cup of tea or a drink at Clubhouse, and the lovely Abigail, who's after me, has organised that. Does that make sense? That's the landscape of social media there.
Yeah, it certainly does.
So what's the algorithm? The algorithm is the brain of Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. They're all mathematically put together. It isn't a tiny little Oompa Loompa driving this thing. It's a computer algorithm. It decides on who's going to be first, who's going to be on that timeline. So if you're on Facebook, it wants you to have a lovely experience, so it gives you things that you're interested in. Facebook's algorithm is you have to show up all the time, you have to be there. Google's algorithm, there's 250 of them, and they're all called different things. Penguin, if you have a spelling mistake on your on your website. You can be penalized for that. If you have thin content, that means less than 300 words, you'll be penalized. Hummingbird, this is it pats you on the back for doing the right things. LinkedIn, the algorithm for that is that it will really reward you if lots of people connect after before 2 hours. YouTube, it's sneaky little new algorithm that's just come in, is at the end of the YouTube video, if you say tune into my next video, it will show more people. But here's the question, Nick: who do you make the content for, the computer or the human being?
Good question.
Well, the algorithm is trying to copy the human being, and the humans are trying to copy the algorithm. It's a bit crazy. The algorithm really just cares about the human being. And if you get, like, you know, the average person pre-COVID would scroll on their phone for about a mile. It was the equivalent to a mile. And now they're scrolling 3 miles. So to understand humans and what they're interested in, that's what stops you. And yes, you can play with the algorithms, and look, something moving is much more likely to be stopped than something not. But really, if you're a dog trainer and you are in front of people that have dogs, you're always going to get more response. If you're selling telephone lines, you're going to be more interested in that if you're a business owner. So make your content for human beings is my message there. So the strategy, I'm a chess player, Nick. Do you play?
I used to, yeah.
Oh, we must have a game.
Sounds like you'll beat me.
I don't know. Like, you never know. You could be a grandmaster in the making. So I ever since I was 6 or 7, I've played chess. And when you play chess, you have to think many moves ahead, and that's why social media suits me, because you have to move many moves ahead. You can't just randomly do social media and put up posts and expect a good outcome. There has to be some plan. So the plan is, it's really, if you think of this 3-legged tabletop, if you remove one of the legs, it will fall over. Content keeps things up, okay? Content is very important. Without content, there is no social media. It's very important. Words, videos, sounds. Fair enough. Now, your content, if it's no good, it's pointless putting it up there. And if it doesn't get this next word, engagement, there is no point. Now, the how Facebook's mission statement, it says it wants to connect the world. So please write this down, because this is powerful. If you are listening, you're thinking, well, how do you make this work? Well, if 2 people comment on a post that are not connected, it means you're connecting the world. So it's always the same people commenting, you actually don't go very far. Social media wants to bring people together. So engagement is very important. You're just a ghost. If you don't have engagement, you're just a picture on a Facebook post or an Instagram post. It doesn't make sense. So I tell you what happened to me on Saturday night. On Saturday night, I was on Clubhouse. And on Clubhouse, I was in a social media room. There was all these experts there listening to people come up to the stage, the virtual stage, and answer questions. And there was this lady, and I liked what she was saying. She was struggling because English was her second language. But she asked a really clever idea, and she wanted some strategy behind it. And the experts were quite dismissive of her. And they said, look, you're going to have to read this book or that book. We'll get back to you. So I private messaged her through Instagram, and she responded. And I said, look, I'll give you 10 minutes of my time. I don't mind. Anyway, Nick, you'll never believe it. Her company turns over £1 billion in streaming software. And she said, I'm going to speak to my boss about you. Thank you. Like, I might just win a massive contract because I came off one platform, spoke to her on another platform, and we had a real conversation on Zoom on Saturday night. Now, consistency is key. If you remove one of these table legs, it will fall down. So you need content, engagement, and consistency. Showing up all the time. Long term, short term. Imagine they put EastEnders on at a different time, or the programmers just put it on whenever they fancy. Wouldn't work. Likes don't pay the bills, Nick.
That we know.
Like it just if you're thinking about what your KPIs are, your KPIs should be about taking people away from social media and back into your own website or collecting emails. And the real juice is when you close the sale with talking offline, when they're private messaging you. So likes do not pay the bills. Take that home.
Gary, I've just very quickly, I sent out a tweet once that got 10 million likes and views. Didn't make a penny.
great Mick, great vanity project. Oh, wow, what was the tweet?
Oh, it was. Look, it was just about there was some storms in America that did a lot of damage, and I found a video that I thought was of interest, and I put it out there, and I obviously caught the right sort of connectors at the right time. They saw it and retweeted, and I mean, my phone was like, it was like, you know how the fruit sheets go down, 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 down.
Ding, 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 ding,
this for hours and hours and hours. I literally had to turn it off. I woke up in the morning, turned my phone on, boom, 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 boom.
Brilliant.
I
love it, and that's how sometimes it can go. The follow-up strategy would have been everybody that made the comment. You could have jumped back in there and maybe sold them something or given them some value or put them on an email.
Yeah.
So visibility.
I didn't have 6 months.
That would have taken a long time. Visibility is not a luxury; it's a necessity. If people don't know you exist, well, they don't know you exist. So that's a really important one. Visibility is part of the trust equation. If people don't trust who you are, then there's no transaction whatsoever. So visibility is the first thing, showing up. The next is credibility. And we gain credibility on digital by our reviews, by having a landline. I'm not just saying that. By having a website that looks fantastic, there's no spelling mistakes, then the profit comes. Which is where we come to next. So it really is important to have. I'm not just saying this because Nick is sponsoring the event. With Google My Business, if you don't have a landline, it's very difficult to get your Google My Business. It's quite you got to really do quite a lot of things there. When it's a landline, you just get it straight, and they're offering it for free. I highly recommend you do that. So having a bit of a strategy is a good idea. The first thing is a unifying theme. So you can see that Cleartone have their colors, and we're branding in the colors. You would never dream of McDonald's using orange instead of the yellow M. It just doesn't happen. So whether that's a business card or it's a Facebook group, you need to keep to your colors. Platform tactics is about, just like some of the speakers have said, if you're going to use Instagram, it's 18 to 20 hashtags. But if you do that on Facebook, you look like an idiot. So understanding how all the platforms work. And if you feel overwhelmed, you think, wow, there's so much to learn here, just do one at a time. One at a time's good. Consistency, showing up, daily tasks, put it on an Excel spreadsheet, put it visually in front of you. Have to, like we as a company have an Excel spreadsheet. We know exactly what we're going to do every day. If we fall short, we'll do extra the next day. If we do too many, at least we know. So we listen as well, because one of the most important things with social media is actually listening more than you talk. People don't realize that on Twitter you can find many press releases, and that's how to use it. And then the difference between a professional marketer and an amateur is we measure. So figure out what's working, what's not, because this week it might work, but next week it may not. So this is Nick talked about this before, where we started first thing in the morning. When you say anybody, you're actually getting nobody. So pick somebody specific, sector specific in business. So we could say we're interested in care homes. All right. So Cleartone want care homes. They want the human resource manager or the managing director of a company called Angelina Homes, and the person there is called Bob Smith. You are really specific. You're much more likely to get your care home when you are that specific. Do not use the word anybody, and that really helps. So was that useful? Any good?
Yeah, very much.
That's down to you.
Very
You
much so.
started the day like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Listen, I'm a big believer in really find your sweet spot, find your ideal customer profile, and target that. As you say, you know, my telephone line is services is for anyone, but anyone is not going to buy my product. So yeah, 100% agree.
So what is this new platform that everybody's talking about? It's pretty straightforward. It's just sound, and the sound has different rooms, just like at a convention when you go. The cool stuff is sometimes not even on the stage. It's the people you bump into. So this is the stage you can see, and this particular talk was about marketing, branding, and business. Your face is enlarged when you're on the stage. Right? So they've got bigger faces than the people in the front row, and then the people in the back row have tiny faces. So if you are chosen to speak, you come up to the stage, you might get a little green sign. That means you're a moderator. As a moderator, you have the power to turn people's sound on and off. I recommended the builder go on here because there's lots and lots of investors on this platform. There's lots of entrepreneurs. It's amazing. And he's gone on there and he started his own page every day called Milk with Two Sugars, and he has got so much new business from this. I just told you I potentially are in with a chance of working with a software company in Taiwan. That would never happen. So this is a bundle of money just waiting to be had there. And if you don't use it as a generating tool, you just sit there and listen, and you will learn so much. Abigail is on next, and she'll tell you what's going on. So with social media and digital strategy, it really lies into two goals. So the first goal is awareness, branding goals. People trust you far more. If I go to the pound shop, and I've got nothing against the pound shop, I don't expect as high quality as, say, Marks and Spencer's. And that's Marks and Spencer's have spent years creating that brand. If I go to a market stall and buy a trinket for £1, I could take that pound trinket and put it in Harrods. How much do you think I could sell it for, Nick? Just because it's in Harrods?
Yeah, a lot more.
Hell of a lot more. Harrods have built that up. That doesn't, like, branding is very, very important. People need to get to know you and trust you. So that's one part of digital strategy. And you measure it with the amount of discussions you have and the engagement and the amount of sharing. Now, a lot of people are just interested in the money. So if you're money driven, you want revenue goals, you really need to educate people. So today, Nick and Cleartone have made a huge investment in time and energy to create this. So they're educating, they're positioning themselves as an industry leader. You need a landline today, you're going to get it from Cleartone. So informing people, inciting behavior. We've been telling you all day, 0207 101 4040. So we're hopefully going to turn this wonderful webinar into one of the goals that is awareness, but the other one maybe even doing a few fine lines. And the metric is how many people are going to call, how much traffic have we got. 2% of every single person that goes on the website today will probably convert into a sale. So focus on the potential and not the problem. This is such a mindset thing. A lot of people are worried about social media and they think, what's the point? But hopefully after you've just seen that, you see the point, and it really is the future. It's accelerated. At Christmas, hardly anybody was at the shops carrying heavy bags. In the hustle and bustle of the West End, I just wonder, when retail is back, will people actually just stay where they are and order online and get it to their door? The world is changing. You've got to change with it. See the potential. So there's a thing called sales funnels, and you'll hear that a lot in sales talk. So the first thing you need to do in social media is build an audience. So if you've got 2,000 people, you're regarded as a micro influencer. If you've got 10 million, you are an influencer. Kim Kardashian, she doesn't have to do much. She can just endorse a hair product and all of a sudden it's a £1 million product. Building the audience is tough and you have to give value, but you can actually borrow other people's audiences. And by all the speakers coming on today, they've learned from our audience and we've learned from them. So you can borrow somebody else's or have your own, which takes time. Once you've got an audience, you've got to keep them engaged so they don't switch off, and that's important. And then you've got to convert them. So consistency, content, engagement. Please write that down. That's the strategy, those three. There's three. I just put this here because I find it fascinating that a YouTube video can last for 10 years and a tweet can last for 3 seconds. Look at your value for money. If you've only got 2 hours a week to spend on social media, doesn't it make more sense to make a YouTube video and repurpose that into a reel and repurpose that into your Facebook? For me, it does. Call me old school. I'd rather something to stick around for 10 years, and you can put it in 3 places, rather than carefully scripting a Facebook post that isn't going to last even 3 hours. Now, voice. Some of you might have heard my Alexa and my Google. I love playing the trick that I ask Google which is the best social media company in England, and it says Loving Social Media. I love that. That's my party trick. So voice is becoming very powerful. My daughter, she's only 8. She says, "Is it going to snow today, Google?" Google, is it going to snow? And Google tells her how the sound gets you to number 1 is you need to be number 1 on Google. Once you're number 1 on Google, the sound then works thereafter. Getting people's attention, grab their attention, grab their trust, the worst works. Now, Google My Business. You're leaving money on the table. I just was speaking with a very switched on business owner yesterday. He's a tree surgeon, and he's paying a lot of money for his search engine optimization company to service him. And he was quite disappointed to know that in a potential of 20 locations, they had only put down 6. One of my a client, and they're a builder, and they're in Palmer's Green. Palmer's Green's in North London. There's a big dual carriageway that runs through it, and it's the heart of North London. Now, he hired an Indian company to do his SEO. And when he called me, he said, "Gary, I don't understand it. I just keep getting calls from Putney." Right? So India didn't have the local knowledge to know that Putney is nowhere near Palmer's Green. They've made an error. And as soon as I saw it, I could fix it. So he's getting lots more work from Winchmore Hill, Palmer's Green, Wood Green, because he's set up his Google My Business properly. Like, do yourselves a favor. Look at your location where your Google My Business is. You're allowed up to 20. You have to step it up. First get 10, then 15, then 20. You need to do it every day. It's just you need to do it once a week. You need to. This is money on the table. Don't leave it out. Attention, interest, action. And then the last thing before we wrap this up, I've given you so much information here, and I don't mean to overwhelm anyone, but this is the one, right? So you got a website. How do you get it to page 1? And it's 3 elements. The first element is how technically brilliant is it put together. You could have a WordPress site, and the best thing about WordPress, do you know that, Nick? What the best thing about WordPress is?
It just gives you flexibility to be able to make changes quickly, deploy them.
So easy. So beautiful. But you see, all WordPress sites are built with plugins, and plugins are great because somebody has made the plugin, and they're going to, instead of paying thousands, you're only going to pay 400 or 500 or nothing. There's free plugins. The problem is the plugins get out of date and it slows everything down. So sometimes your website can be 4 or 5 years old, WordPress, and it is terribly built. It doesn't respond to mobile very well, say. So there's a free tool that you can use called WooRank, WOORANK. If your WooRank isn't between 50 and 60, you really need to think about fixing it. Ideally at 70. So that's a lot of technical stuff. That could be technically brilliant and still not page 1. So what do? You one leg of the table is technical. The other leg is on-page SEO. That's updating all this content. So we've got hours and hours of a podcast here, of webinar, Nick. We're gonna save that. We're gonna put it on YouTube. We're gonna put it on our website. This is gonna be great content for Google. You see all the words underneath? It's gonna transcribe all the words into a blog. So there's on-page SEO is website content, keywords, blogging, podcasts, all of the really interesting things. But you still don't get to page one. It might be technically put together properly. You might update all your content, but it still needs off-page SEO, which is backlinks. That's a link from somebody else to you. Easily done. Google My Business, reviews, and of course social media. That's a whole day's course in a few minutes. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Nick, any questions?
No, that was all pretty clear. I think interesting about the Woo rank, which gives a good idea. Just one question you meant about Google My Business up to 20 locations. Can you just expand on that a bit?
Yeah, should we have a look at Cleartone's one, or should I find a client that has nothing to do with you? Let's have a look.
Let's look at Cleartone.
I'll look at Cleartone, why not? All right, so this wasn't planned. I wasn't planning on speaking today. I just had something up my sleeve just in case there was a gap. So we're looking at Cleartone's Google My Business right now, okay? So this is what it looks like. And there's hidden buttons, Nick, that people, the uninitiated, don't know where to look. So this says that 842 people looked at your Google My Business. That's not your website. Google wants to be so dominant that people don't even need to go into the website. They just look at the Google My Business and that's enough. So they really promote that product. So 842 people saw it. We have people, oh, that's a bad number, 666, 38% up. But the hidden bit is back there. This is what we want to see. So website visits, people were more than satisfied with the Google My Business, and then they didn't go to the website, or the website's down. That's my job to turn that into green. The phone calls from Google My Business is 15. So this is my job to make that look really, really, really sexy. So it's easy to make it look sexy in the first month, but the third month you've got to keep up the good work. We've got 89 reviews, and managing the reviews is really important. That we are answering back everybody that's making a comment, and that's really important. Quite timely as well. There's a little tip for you that if you don't answer back your replies, that leaves you prone to spammers and mean people, because they think that you'll never find out. So getting back to people and putting the right keywords is important. Information. Here we go. So this is when you're open and closed. Now they could still look at you on a Sunday and a Saturday, Nick. So we could keep ourselves open on a Saturday and Sunday. That's up to you. Are you open on a Saturday and Sunday?
We're available, certainly.
You're available. Up here. So maybe I might switch that on to available. This is interesting. This is your feedback of the thing. So there's 140 people that have engaged with our information. Now, number one says Cleartone. 1,236 people have typed that in to find us. Now, they're all coming anyway, or they're just maybe looking for hearing aids, which is wrong. This one you can't get wrong. Cleartone Communications, 252 people have typed that in. But what I want to see is more. They weren't really looking for us, but they found us anyway. So this is good. 0800 numbers. They're looking for 0800 numbers. They're looking for landline numbers. What does SCRC mean?
Couldn't tell you.
All right. So these are the Cleartone professional business number. Love it. Again, the job of an SEO is to turn that minus 15 into lots more pluses. So yes, that gives you an insight. people often ask me, how do you pick a good company to work with for your social media and your SEO? I would always say that you're accountable. I will go through any of that data with Nick anytime. We meet once a week. We've been talking about this webinar for weeks, and we'll be back on the SEO route soon. We made a subdomain. So what does that mean? It was a really hard-coded website that you'd have to pay a coder to change every 2 minutes. So we made a subdomain on a WordPress site which is parked in there. So now we've got the ability to change all these keywords, and in a few months time you'll go back and look at that and it will just be like a rocket going up. So I hope that's been of interest. Abigail's next. Abigail, are you around? I hope any more questions, Nick? You employ me. Now's the time to ask me in front of thousands of people.
So no, when you said Google My Business 20 locations, were you referring that you can advertise your business in 20 different cities and towns across the UK? Or
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
And these are all things we set up, and yeah. Otherwise, if you just leave it as it is, it would just be a 10-mile radius around where you live.
Right. Okay. Very interesting.
Very interesting.
And do you think that if you're open, for example, on weekends, does Google put any weight on your opening times?
Yeah. When should we have a look? I'll show you something. Shall I? I'll show you again. When you're looking at your Google My Business as the consumer, here, it would say closed. Look, it says open now and closed. So when I look at that on a Sunday, I just think, well, they're shut for business. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you are shut for business, because people could still look at the website and they could still do it. So for me, I would leave it open Saturday and Sunday, because it would stay. Because when it says closed, you just don't bother, do you?
Yeah, no, definitely. It sends the wrong message, so we'll get that changed.
And it really is. Can I show you how simple this is? It is not complicated at all. When you think, oh God, what shall I do? What shall I do with Google My Business? I could put 24 hours. I could do regular business hours of 9 to 5:30. What would you like, Nick?
Put the same 9 to 5:30, and then we can review it after that.
Okay. So they've made it so it's really simple for you to use. And if you're not on Google My Business, I highly recommend you get on there. And yeah. So.
And I think one of the things you're saying is that the landline helps you. Otherwise, you need a postcard sent to you. Do you want to just run it?
Yeah, sure. So if you've got a business that's not on Google My Business, and on your website you have a landline, it simply verifies you by ringing the landline. If you only have a mobile, it sends you a postcard from Hawaii. Some of them never arrive. So like what company have I just dealt with? Locomotive, right? For 3 years, they tried to get their Google My Business. They spoke to so many experts, and we figured it out in a couple of months. We got it. I think it was 8 weeks, 7-8 weeks, and just done it. And that gives me such a good sense of satisfaction. Persistent. I rang India. I sent emails. I just done it. And part of the reason is they didn't have a landline. And if I'd